6 psychological tricks are running on you right now, and you've already fallen for at least 4. The people using them, they don't even know they're doing it. That's exactly what makes them dangerous. You've walked away from conversations feeling smaller, replayed them, found nothing wrong, and quietly blamed yourself. You weren't confused, you were handled. Tonight, I'm naming all 6 moves, because the moment you can name what's being done to you, it can never land the same way twice. Gaslighting. Everyone thinks they know this word. Almost nobody understands how deep it actually goes. The basic version, "that never happened," is real, but that is the entry level. The advanced version never directly denies your reality, it raises concern about it. I've noticed you've been getting confused lately. I think you might be under too much stress. I'm not saying you're wrong, I just worry about how you're processing things. Your accurate perception is not challenged, it is quietly reclassified as a symptom. What is actually running here is precise. Sophisticated gaslighting does not go after your memory, it goes after the tool you use to check your memories. It makes you stop trusting your own pattern recognition. Not just about this specific moment, but about your ability to read any moment accurately. The weapon does not take your sword, it makes you afraid to reach for one. You caught a clear contradiction. You brought it up calmly, not as an attack, just a question. The response was not a defense, it was sadness, quiet worry. I don't understand why you see things this way. It really concerns me. And you walked away apologizing for being right. Most people call that a misunderstanding. Therapists call it something else entirely. The mechanism, it does not deny the event, it makes your perception of the event look like a disorder. Write it down before the conversation happens. Date, time, facts only. When someone disputes your reality, you have a record that lives entirely outside your memory and entirely outside their reach. That record protects you, but gaslighting lands hardest when something else has already been running first, something that quietly drained your confidence long before that conversation ever happened. Self-doubt. Nobody installs self-doubt in one sitting. That is not how it works. It gets planted the way a virus spreads, quietly while your attention is somewhere else. A comment about a choice you made years ago, delivered casually, almost like a joke. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" said at every important moment. A silence held just a beat too long after you share an idea. The real target is not what you think, it is how fast you think. A person with genuine self-trust moves quickly. They decide, they act, they commit. Engineered self-doubt places a small pause between your instinct and your action. A half-second of, "but what if I'm wrong?" that was never there before. That pause is the open door. Everything else walks right through it. You have a decision in front of you, the kind you have handled before without hesitation. But now you're asking for a second opinion, then a third, then a fourth. Not because the decision is complicated, because somewhere along the way you stopped listening to the first voice, your own. You don't even notice you stopped. You are not indecisive, you were trained to be. There's a difference, and someone nearby knows exactly which one it is. The mechanism, self-doubt, is not a feeling, it's a trained hesitation, built through repetition, triggered by pressure. Track your decisions for 2 weeks, write down which ones you made quickly and which ones you stalled on. The pattern will show you exactly where the interference is sitting. But self-doubt rarely works alone, because someone who still knows who they are can eventually rebuild. That's why the next trick goes somewhere deeper.
Pause. Right now, your brain has been quietly matching this to real people in your life. A name surfaced, maybe 2. And right after the name appeared, an excuse appeared directly behind it. That reflex, automatically defending the person who was hurting you, is not loyalty. It is the next trick, already running, right now. Yes, that person is still in your head. They will be there until the end. That is fine. Let them watch. Keep going. going. Control. Control never announces itself. It does not arrive as rules. It arrives dressed as care. Someone who simply wants what's best for you and just happens to have very firm opinions about what that looks like, the hours you keep, the people you spend time with, the way you handle money. Every preference framed as love. And because it looks like love, you go along with it. Once, then again. Then it quietly stops being accommodation and becomes the structure of your entire life. The thing most people miss, control is not about the specific things being controlled. It is about establishing one principle, that your choices need approval. The moment that principle is accepted, even once, even in something small, it grows. You have just shown that your freedom has a negotiating table, and the person across the table from you will keep pushing until that table is gone. You want to take a weekend trip with people you trust. The response is not a flat no. It is a quiet string of questions wrapped in disappointment, a shift in mood that makes the whole thing feel selfish before you have even looked at prices. You cancel. You tell yourself it was your call. It was not your call. You were steered. The most elegant cage ever built has no bars, just someone very quietly rearranging your reasons. The mechanism. Control works through emotional temperature, not direct orders. It trains you to restrict yourself so the controller never has to say a word. Pick one area where you keep asking for permission you were never required to ask for. Make one fully independent decision and follow through without consulting anyone. The discomfort you feel is not guilt. It is what recovery feels like. But control has a partner, one that does not manage what you do. It rewrites who you believe you are. Identity confusion. This one does not feel like an attack. It feels like finally being understood. Someone takes a deep interest in you, in your history, your wounds, your patterns. They reflect you back to yourself in ways that feel almost spiritual, like being truly seen for the first time. Then, slowly, they begin offering edits, not to hurt you, to improve you. Your old friends were keeping you small. Your old habits were holding you back. Your old self-image was just a story someone told you. And piece by piece, you start rebuilding, using the blueprint they are quietly sliding across the table. Here's the part nobody talks about. It works because it needs your full cooperation. And it gets it because the early stages feel like genuine healing. The manipulator doesn't tear your identity down. They make you question it so consistently that you hand it over yourself and feel grateful for the exchange. You try to recall what you believed 5 years ago, what you actually wanted, what made you certain. The memories are there, but they feel like they belong to a stranger, someone you were slowly talked out of being. You can't pinpoint when you changed. You're not sure you ever chose to. But the person beside you is absolutely certain of who you are now and has a serious investment in keeping you there. The mechanism, it swaps self-knowledge for reflected knowledge until you can no longer tell your own voice apart from the one that replaced it. Go back to one thing you genuinely loved before this person entered your life, not to move backwards, just to confirm it still belongs to you. If reclaiming it creates conflict, you already have your answer. Every trick so far was laying infrastructure. The gaslighting targeted your memory, the self-doubt slowed your instincts, the control stripped your autonomy, the identity confusion replaced your core. All of it, preparation for the final two. These do not go after individual functions, they go after the entire operating system. And by the time both are running at full force, the person inside them doesn't feel manipulated. They feel broken.
Hidden manipulation. Most manipulation leaves a trace, a raised voice, an obvious lie, a moment you can point to. Hidden manipulation leaves nothing. No fingerprints, no witnesses, not even a solid memory of anything going wrong. It does not work through action, it works through design.
The manipulator does not tell you what to do. They arrange conditions so that what they want becomes the only option that feels reasonable or safe. Hard conversations timed when you are exhausted. Information filtered, shared selectively, framed strategically. The emotional temperature of every room set in advance, so agreement feels like calm, and pushback feels like a problem you created. This is the layer most people never reach. Hidden manipulation is not a series of moments, it is environmental design. The person is not manipulating you in specific interactions, they are shaping the entire context in which every interaction takes place. Your whole decision-making environment has been landscaped around their preferred outcomes. And because there's never one clear moment to point at, there's nothing to defend against. You just keep noticing that somehow, every time, you end up exactly where they wanted you. You make a decision, you feel genuinely good about it, then 3 weeks later the full picture arrives. The conversation was timed deliberately, the situation arranged in advance, the thinking seeded across 6 separate interactions you never connected. You were the last one to move in a game already decided before you sat down. The mechanism. It engineers your conclusions by controlling the environment where you reach them, leaving your sense of free will completely untouched while quietly removing it altogether. Before any significant decision, ask 2 questions. Who benefits if I choose this, and who first put this option in front of me? Not to become suspicious of everything, just to create 1 second of space between the option and your answer. That second is where your real judgment lives. Guard it. Mental damage. This is not a tactic, it is the outcome. Mental damage is what happens when all 5 previous tricks run long enough, consistently enough, until something in the system gives way, not in a single dramatic moment, just quietly, gradually, the way a structure fails from the inside long before the outside shows a crack. And this is the part that reframes everything. Mental damage caused by psychological manipulation is not a personal flaw, it is not weakness, it is not a vulnerability that was already there waiting to be found. It is an injury that was inflicted, the same category as a broken bone, real, invisible, and caused by a specific external force, not by anything that was ever wrong with you. The symptoms read like personal failure, persistent indecision, a bone-deep exhaustion with no obvious cause, difficulty trusting your own thinking in real time, the inability to finish a sentence about what you want without immediately walking it back. You look at who you were 3 years ago, in a photo, in an old message, and that person feels foreign, not because you grew, because something was taken. The mechanism, sustained manipulation, produces real neurological change. The brain's threat detection system locks in a heightened state, permanently shifting the baseline from calm to on guard. This is not a metaphor. This is how the brain actually responds. And the person responsible will never use that word for what they did. Sit with that. Not a list, a map, and now you carry it. You cannot gaslight someone who keeps records. You cannot break someone who knows exactly what is being run on them. These tricks only survive in the dark. You just turn the light on. That changes everything. Every person watching this either recognized someone or recognized themselves in the person being described. Both realizations matter. Drop 1 word in the comments, just 1, whatever this hit you with. Read what everyone else wrote. You will see something important about how many people needed to hear this. The damage was real, so is the way out.